What a lovely day to bake! Moin, my name is Arne, German hobby baker living in Luxembourg. Today we bake focaccia. This is an Italian flatbread. Today we make it with 100% of sourdough. This gives the focaccia a bit more complexity and flavor and makes a greater crumb. For this we need a high protein flour. We take a local pizza flour for this. If you don't have a type 00 flour, make sure the protein content is above 12% so you get a great texture in the focaccia. You can find the recipe as always below the video. This is from Luxembourg with Love, so let's get started.
Alright, for the focaccia we need 350 grams of flour, we need 70 grams of sourdough, we need 7 grams of salt, we need 11 grams of olive oil, and we need 273 grams of water. The flour is a pizza flour, a local one that I have bought here, and if you're unsure how much flour you need to make the focaccia for your baking form, you can just fill in some flour in the form and then check if it's like 1.5 centimeters or so, then it should be good, and you can calculate based on percentage that I put down in the recipe how much flour you actually need to be the base for your recipe. I am putting all the flour in a bowl, and then I mix in, or I put in all ingredients besides the olive oil and the salt. This will come after 30 minutes, so for now I just take the flour, the sourdough and the water. And then I take a spoon and mix everything together. And for the rest I take my hand to incorporate everything. So that gets a rest now for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later I take the olive oil and the salt and also incorporate that into the dough. At this stage the dough already should feel like a little bit different from how it felt like 30 minutes ago, because the gluten network already started to develop itself. So I incorporate now everything into the dough, and after that this will also rest for about 30 minutes. Today I was using a little warmer place because my kitchen is already quite cold. So at the moment that also will speed up the process of fermentation. So 30 minutes later it's time for the first exercise on getting more strength into the dough. So I wetten my hands, and I also use a dough scraper to get the dough a little bit from the sides of my bowl, and then I take my hands and I grab the dough, I pull it off the bowl, and then I tuck it into the other side. I do that again and rotate the bowl each time, so I do that like 4 times. And then you see already that I have like a very nice shaped round dough ball in my bowl. And now, like the 4th time or 5th time I pull the dough, I already noticed that there's a lot of strength now in the dough, so it's hard to get out the dough out of the bowl. So again I put some water on my finger so the dough won't stick, and I place it on the countertop. And now I want to get a little bit more tension to the dough, so I grab the dough with the dough scraper and pull it a little bit to the side. The dough is quite sticky, so that helps us to get some more tension into the dough ball. And then I grab it and transfer it to a glass container. This gets covered and then it rests for another 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, I take a water spray bottle and I sprinkle my countertop with a little bit of water. And then I take my dough scraper again and use it to remove like the edges of our dough from the bowl. This helps us to get it a little bit easier out of the glass bowl. So I now rotate the container to use the gravity, getting our dough on the countertop. So what I'm now doing is called lamination. Therefore I wet my hands and then I grab the edges of the dough and I pull it to the side. And you will see that the gluten network has quite well developed now. So the dough is really strong now. So when you try to pull it away from the middle, it resists a lot. And you can see also like you can make nice air bubbles into your dough if you like, and you can play it like a drum. So once I reach the maximum of the dough, I will just fold it back into the middle. So you can use whatever technique you like, something to fold your clothes or whatever. But at the end you will end up with this nice dough ball. It has a lot of tension at this stage. So I again place it in this glass container and I cover it with a plastic wrap, and this now rests for another 30 minutes. After 30 minutes the dough is ready for our final step. So we wetten our hands. This step is called coil fold. You take your both hands, place it below the dough, pull it up and you fold it over. Then you rotate your container or your bowl and you do the same. You pull the dough up and then you bend it over. And then you rotate it one more time and you pull it up. And then you put the both sides of the dough below the dough ball. So this is now pretty good. I was using a very warm place for my dough to rest, so the fermentation is already going on quite well. If you're using a lower temperature, then you may wait for 1 hour or 2 hours now to get to that stage. In the meantime, I laid out some baking paper in another glass container. The glass container has the same size than the glass container that I was using for my fermentation. And I rub a little bit of olive oil to the baking paper. This helps a little bit from getting it easier out later on. Then I take the dough scraper again and remove the edges from the dough a little bit from the glass container. I flip it over and then gravity will do the rest. Now I take some olive oil on my hands, and actually what I wanted to try is I wanted to rotate the dough in that glass container, but unfortunately due to the fact that I was using baking paper it got stuck. But that's not so important, so you can just leave it as it comes out from the other proofing container. I will cover it again now with some plastic wrap. That helps the dough to relax a little bit. That makes it also easier in the next step to stretch it out a bit. So just give it another 30 minutes of rest now. In the meantime, I have prepared some tomatoes, I have also some rosemary, and I also like prepared some herb oil where I like incorporated some basil leaves and some rosemary with some sea salt, and this is now what I like spread over the focaccia dough.
And now it's getting romantic. Take your oiled fingers and gently press them into the focaccia. It's like a massage. Use your senses to choose the right pressure and keep going.
Whoa, that was intense. So now I taking my tomatoes and I place them all over the focaccia. If you are like in another season of the year, you can of course also use the vegetables that you have at the moment and place them. I also use some rosemary because it fits very well to the tomatoes, and then I also in the last step sprinkled over some fleur de sel sea salt above it, so that gives a little bit more salty flavor at the end. Doesn't that look amazing? I have also added some flowers of the rosemary. Currently our rosemary is in blossom even though it's already close to the winter. So it's really astonishing how it looks like. I take the focaccia now and put it in the oven at 250 degrees for 30 minutes, and by putting the focaccia in the oven I already reduced the temperature to 220 degrees, and this is the result. It looks really amazing. The dough raised a lot in the oven thanks to my active sourdough, and it is also really nice. You see here some pictures also from the crumb, so the hydration level really shows off here. A super recipe.
I hope you liked my video. It took me a little bit longer this time to get the focaccia to look as I wanted, but I'm super happy now. The high water content in the bread has ensured a huge crumb and makes the focaccia light and fluffy. If you try the focaccia, please link me on Instagram or leave me a comment here on my YouTube channel. If you like my recipes and want to support my work, please like my video and subscribe to my channel. Also feel free to share my videos with your friends and family. See you in the next video. Eddie and goodbye.